What about top line revenue growth? I understand that with at least one of your customers, you were able to use some data from Cognos Analytics to find maybe a few $1 million of potential revenue that was possibly getting lost unnecessarily. How did you do that?
Yes. So continuing the discussion on the wholesale business model, we worked with a business that had about 5,000 different products that they supply to various retailers. Now, when you sell to retailers, you really want to get their trusted nature and just be their go-to supplier that they keep coming back to you on a regular basis, who can always fulfill their needs for inventory replenishment. Now, in some cases, when you work with a big retailer, like some of the biggest retailers in the US that you normally go to, they actually agree on what we would call an SLA, which is a service level agreement, where as a supplier, you're committed to deliver at a certain threshold. Now, if you fall below this threshold, for example, let's say 95% on time or be able to fulfill, then if you get below that number, you start getting hit with penalties or charges.
So that's interesting. So you're not only losing the business, you have to pay a fine for not fulfilling that business.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you not only get hit with these penalties, but you're also going to lose money on what you would have made by selling them the item that they asked for.
Okay.
So in our situation, we were working with a wholesaler, really wanted to know how many orders they couldn't fulfill as a whole, but also what orders went unfulfilled or fulfilled based on customer groups.
Okay. So again, you're losing money in various ways. You're looking at fulfillment, and how did you use data to take action on those issues?
So what we did is we consolidated orders and invoices together to see what orders were not getting fulfilled on a line by line basis. So taking this information and associating a dollar amount to an order that was being unfulfilled. So if they ordered, let's say 100 units and they only were able to fulfill or deliver on 60 units, then there was a 40 quantity unit that was basically unfulfilled. And so what we did is we associated a dollar amount to that, and this provided us really with a high level view of where the problems were occurring. So not only did we identify the customers and the items that were the biggest problem, but we were also able to associate those unfulfilled orders with an associated dollar value, and then allowing us to quantify that to management on actually how much revenue was actually lost and happening on either a monthly, quarterly, or annual basis. And then being able to provide the details of which customers or buying groups were the root cause and be able to break it down for them by item.
Cool. Excellent. Well, I've heard it said that, good engineering has value at scale, right? So your business won't necessarily die if you lose, a little bit of money here, a little money there. But if you don't actually have a process in place to catch those things on a regular basis, all those are going to add up, right?
Exactly. So initially we were only tasked or asked for to do the calculation of the fulfillment rate, but we decided to go the extra mile, and we decided to quantify that with the raw dollar amount of lost revenue, to share with them. And when I told them, did you know last year you lost actually $8 million worth of business? President almost fell off his chair. And what was even more interesting, though, is that later when the president inquired about that figure, with some backup, of course, to the VP of operations, the VP said, yeah, that sounds about right.
It's interesting to see the difference of expectations there, right? Because I think a lot of times in our work with data and analytics, we talk about sort of two goals, you might say. One is insight. You look at the data to get insight. The other is to take action. And those are sort of well known, but I think you're alluding to a little bit of a third, maybe it's an intermediate step that the data enables, which is alignment, right? Is about getting everybody on the same page and saying, hey, we're all talking about the same thing here. We all see the problem in the same way. So anyways, so the data itself could quantify that problem that maybe was sort of felt before, but not named. And then what did you decide to do about it?
Yeah, so first off, we gave that visibility, but I'll tell you more on how we did it. But the short answer is we used IBM Cognos and our quick start solution to help forecast sales demand. And then what we did is we compared that against existing and incoming inventory, along with current orders that were not yet shipped, to identify the problems so that they can really nip them in the bud before they developed. So how did it work? So what we did is we first created a 12-week sales forecast based on historical data. We then matched that against the inventory, not only current stock, but also orders from upstream suppliers, as well as orders not yet shipped to customers that were scheduled for delivery to and from the warehouse. And that was really giving you a pretty good idea of where you're going to have problems potentially, say in 7 weeks from now. Now, what's key in regards to this is that, not only do you have the knowledge about this, but in some cases, you can actually take action in advance to prevent this from happening.
So essentially ordering new inventory a lot earlier than you would have otherwise done.
Yes, so having the ability to take corrective action before a problem occurred. So this problem for them was so time consuming before because they could only do that for a handful of products. But now with Cognos and our quick start solution, we not only could be proactive with a couple of products at a time, but with the Cognos solution that's in play, we would be able to do this for 4,000 to 5,000 products all at once.
Interesting. Okay, so there was a practice around this, but it was because it was a manual practice, it had to be done sort of selectively. What you're saying is you could actually scale that up to do thousands of products all at once instead of just cherry picking. So that's
correct.
That's great. Well, okay, so to recap, in this second example, the business value of data came from, sounds like multiple areas. But I mean, first of all, you got visibility into the amount of money paid in penalties. That was sort of the initial question to be answered. Second, it actually quantified the revenue, or the lost potential revenue for the unfulfilled orders. We talked about aligning the different members of the team, and then really giving you a way to address these problems before they occur, giving you something that you actually can take action on. So that's great. I really like the fact that this saves a lot of wasted effort, essentially. I mean, if you think about this, how close the company had come to earn that revenue, like how close they were to actually earning that. They incorporated their business, they hired their employees, you build your supply chain, you market your business, you develop those customer relationships, you get the order, and the customer comes and says, all right, we'd like to buy this. And you're like, oh, sorry, we don't have that. It's not in stock, right? That's such a waste. And so having the data to analyze, to address that ahead of time is a huge game changer. So it's great to have that.